In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. Tudo bem? Como estás? How are you doing on this Monday morning, the 22nd of January, 2024? I hope I find you well. Do let me know in the chat this morning. As you can see on the screen here, messages already coming in. A dad joke warning, watch out! Incoming dad jokes. Joao Denor, Andy Klein, Coach Turner, and James here already. Coach Turner with a bon dia Gumpers. It's the start of a new week with unlimited possibilities. How about that? Hitting the ground running, as he invariably does. Coach Turner, what exciting things are you doing this week? Thank you for your company last Friday, Coach Turner, where we reviewed Grey Watch, Growing Old Disgracefully, the program that we share over at GMP VIP to help people stay in good shape in older life, the quality of their years. Quality of life in retirement, gentle fitness for bon viveurs. So all of that over at GMP VIP. And thanks again, Coach Turner, for your incredible resource, which you've been building over the last couple of years or so. Now, a slightly poignant and difficult afternoon yesterday for those of us living in San Martino de Porto. I'll tell you more about this in just a moment after we've said hello to everybody. Yesterday, this is all on my new Love SMDP. Not much to love about this happening, this circumstance yesterday. Town icon tragedy. If you've ever been to San Martino de Porto and walked away from the seafront and back into town, you may well have seen this building here, which doesn't look a lot like that. Well, it does look a little bit like that this morning, but a lot of the roof is gone. That turret is still there. I popped down there this morning. The tower is still standing, but a lot of that roof has been lost since a fire yesterday afternoon, a blaze here in the bay. And as you can see, that's the first I saw of it. I was having a paddle in the beach, in the water, on the beach there with my daughter, who wanted to go swimming. I stopped short at a paddle, looked back towards town, and a huge plume of smoke, which I later discovered was the blaze at the hotel park there, that Belle Epoque hotel. I was going to call it a museum. It could have been either. It could have been turned into a museum. I'm not sure what's going to happen to it now. I'll tell you more about that in just a little while. But that was the sad news yesterday from San Martino de Porto. Down the road, meanwhile, Nazaré, going north along from that beach that I just showed you. The countdown has begun for the Nazaré Big Wave Challenge. First call, it says here, Monday, January the 22nd. What? That's today. And I saw on social media yesterday, Garrett McNamara, legendary surfer, the Nazaré contest is on for tomorrow. The conditions look so epic, I almost considered competing, but I decided to wait until I'm 60, he says. The photo here on the screen, that's him. That's him. Just that tiny little figure at the bottom of the screen there is Grant did I just call him Grant? Garrett McNamara. This photo, he says, is one of my biggest waves at Nazaré. We never entered it to be measured. How big is your guess? I've no idea. I'll just go with terrifying, okay? Garrett, possibly flying in, as many people will be today probably, to see if they can catch one of those big waves at Nazaré. So all the excitement further north from here, another 15 kilometers up the coast in Nazaré. Down south this weekend, Gumpers meeting Gumpers. Who's that in the picture there? Doug and Frank met up, so it was lovely to see this photograph of the pair of them. I think meeting in Tavira at Atashka, one of Frank's approved places, I suspect, educating Doug. Doug knows Portugal well and the Algarve, but I suspect Frank will have taken him to places he would have never have dreamed of. over this last weekend. So I hope you two had a great time. How are you? How was your weekend? Do let me know. Baddy's in as well. Good morning to you, Baddy. Sarah Yerman. How is everyone this morning? Okay, let's get into the messages. We'll see James, of course, at 9 o'clock. And Bob and Viv are with us this morning from the north of Portugal. And they've been on quite the journey in all sorts of ways. That's why I called the show this morning Up Close and Personal. Bob sharing some of the things that have been happening for him just recently. It's been quite an intense time by the sound of it. So Bob and Viv joining us at 9:30 to talk about that. Bom dia, Gumpers. Feliz segunda a todos. Keep your powder dry. Don't release the beast of the Portuguese language or your grasp of it too soon there, James. We'll chat very briefly in Portuguese at 9, just recovering a little bit of old ground. And I've got something from Carla, actually, European Portuguese with Carla. It was a nice little meme she was sharing. And I see that Mia Esmeres is also hitting the ground running this year with some European Portuguese tips, as well as a nice video going around from her as well. So lots of support from people, of course, learning the language. And James and I will do our bit at about 20 minutes time. Come on, foi, of vosso fim de semana, he's saying. And he's going to give us a mindful moment and a mindful dad joke. Why not? Mindful moment. It's Blue Monday +1. We're another week into the year after the dreaded Blue Monday, dreaded by some people, not us Gumpers. We debunked and debriefed, didn't we, on Blue Monday last Monday with Vitor Costa and James. I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of man to elevate his life by conscious endeavor. Oh, yes, you need a top hat on and a cane when you're uttering such words, don't you? Mindful moment from Henry David Thoreau. I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of man to elevate his life by conscious endeavor. Love that. Thank you, James. And I don't suppose Henry penned this mindful dad joke. Why did the Buddhist coroner get fired? No, I don't think I've heard this. He kept marking the cause of death as birth. Well, you would, wouldn't you? Basically. So mindful dad joke this morning. Why did the Buddhist coroner get fired? He kept marking the cause of death as birth. Wow. Thank you for that, James. See you soon. God's good tip of the day then. As some of you may recall, I've been quite a fan of Professor Tim Spector and the Zoe Project. Is it Zoe Project or Zoe Project? It started by tracking COVID and built up a following of over 4 million. What was it tracking? It was tracking COVID. What was it tracking exactly there? This allowed the development of new studies looking at various... thank you for the explanation here. This allowed the development of new studies looking at various aspects of health, particularly nutrition. The project was just completed... has just completed its most important study yet. What would that be, I wonder? Well, funny you should ask. A clinical trial testing its individual approach to nutrition. Is he the guy? Did I see him on Diarrhea of a CEO? The verbal diarrhea of a CEO. Shouldn't knock fellow podcasters, really. Does a great job. Stephen, is it Stephen Bartlett over at Diarrhea of a CEO? And I think I might have seen him talking to Tim Spector, who's very frank and very matter of fact and helpful with nutrition. Is that the same guy, Coach Turner? So this clinical trial testing the individual approach to nutrition, the results are very impressive and appear to upturn a lot of received wisdom. Well, there's science in progress, right? Certainly, they show that calorie-controlled diets are not particularly effective compared with the Zoe approach. What is the Zoe approach? What is more important is to improve your gut health. But everyone is different, so it needs a unique solution. These are all serving suggestions, aren't they? So those get thin, quick adverts? Nah. You can lose weight quickly, can't you? But it's very rarely sustainable. It takes a massive effort, quite a lot of suffering, I think, for people. And then people tend to find it's not a very sustainable approach. So gut health, very important, it would appear. More on this tomorrow. Thank you very much for that, Coach Turner. I look forward to that. Good morning, everyone, from Andy Klein. How are you doing, Andy? See you at the weekend. It is, of course, the Strong Beers event coming up this coming weekend. And a few of us are heading up there. Who's joining us at the Strong Beers? 26th to the 28th. I think I'll be popping over there on Saturday, 27th. Who's joining us? Do let us know. Andy will be filming. And for those of you who like craft beer, I think this is an event not to be missed. I don't think it's all necessarily strong beers. I suspect that's a kind of Portuguese cultural statement, isn't it? Or insight there. Sagres, your General Imperial from the tap, is not a strong beer. Is that what's called a session beer, or just a drink, or a glass of water almost? I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it's as weak as water, but these are not strong beers. They're not meant to be strong beers. They're meant to be refreshing one's palate. And just taking the edge off things with a little bit of a beer buzz. They are not craft beers. They're not strong beers. And I think that's a distinction being made with what's going on in Coimbra at the weekend. Craft beer, independently brewed beer, a little bit of off the beaten track, off-piste. People getting piste, off the piste with independently brewed beverages. So looking forward to that. Who's joining us? Birad says, Lord Portugalish, good morning to you. All rise, and Andy Klein. I think clinking some Kanekkas there. Clinking his Kanekkas. I don't think Tim Spector. I thought that whenever you see the name Spector, you do wonder, don't you, if Phil is a relative. I don't think Tim and Phil are related. Pick Scent, says Joao Denor, of the Tulip Magnolia. Bob and Viv have one in their front garden. Is it in bloom yet, Bob? Is your tulip in bloom this morning? Who doesn't like? I'll come back to that. Thank you very much, Joao Denor. I hope you're well. Oh, thank you. A pick for those wondering what a tulip magnolia looks like in spring. That's from the spring, or is this weird goings on with the weather, as Joao Denor? Do let me know, but that's a beauty. I might save that for when Bob and Viv join us a little bit later on. Hi, Pam. Good morning to you. Let's go back to the messages in the chronological order. As much as anything to make sure I don't miss anything this morning. So thanks, Coach Turner. Thanks, James. Good morning to you, Andy, and to you, I don't know. Yeah, look, bon dia todos. Early signs of spring up here. So with the tulip tree in bloom, that's happening right now. Not weird goings on with the weather. Okay, let me bring it onto the screen for you now so you can see it. Here we go. That's a thing of beauty. For those of you whose spirits and hearts are lifted by the sight of a flower in bloom, there you go, especially for you from Joao Denor. We need to get that up on our growing collection of picks coming in from the community at GMP VIP. Thank you very much for that, Joao. Will we have a hotel update, please? Go. Yeah, okay, so let's we'll say hello to and good morning to Sarah. And Owen's dad joke. Did you hear about the actor who broke his leg on stage? He's still in the cast. Oh, yes. Morning, all. Nice one. And Pete, as you all know, they are known as bowls, but they are beautiful. Sounds lovely. There you go. And yes, will we have a hotel update, please? So let's do that. Long time ago, coming to San Martino de Porto, I took this picture, which many of you have taken, I think, who visited San Martino de Porto. The faded grandeur of the... I don't think it was a hotel when it was built. It was built by Antonio Rosa in the 1920s. I think he made a lot of money in Brazil and wanted to build this, and later lost his fortune, and it became a hotel, which I believe was deserted in the 1960s. And thereafter, lots of plans to do something with it, all of which came to naught. Now, yesterday afternoon, as I mentioned, I was on the beach and I could see a plume of smoke in the distance. Let me just make this a little bit bigger for you so you can see what I'm talking about. This is at my San Martino de Porto website, lovesmdp.com. And I've called this the town icon tragedy here. Anyone who's walked the streets of San Martino de Porto will have noticed the beautiful Belle Epoque building, albeit in a major state of disrepair. That is Hotel Park. I was calling it Hotel do Parque earlier on when I was first talking about it. Hotel Park is what it's known as. And there's a really good Bros of Decay video, which they came and filmed. They're quite an extraordinary production company on YouTube, and they came and filmed it. Lots of films, I think, as if you start to search for Hotel Park, you see lots of YouTube video footage, not least my own live coverage of what was going on there. Sadly, yesterday afternoon, saw this iconic and historic establishment smouldering and ultimately ablaze. Townsfolk looked on while local Bombeiros firefighters, assisted by personnel from neighboring Nazaré, did their best to contain the fire. Now, here are some of the still pictures. that we have for you there. I won't play any video. You can have a look at that on the YouTube channel yourself. And I'll tell you what happened when I went back there this morning. But these are some of Mrs. M's pictures as she was walking away from the scene. Pretty sad, huh? To see it in this condition. And that's as she was walking home. That was the picture of it in the distance, a couple of blocks down. And that's from the back of the building there. And that's possibly the most dramatic one there. The Bomberos Voluntarios of Nazaré helping out. And you can see the Hotel Park sign there. And the roof pretty much completely ablaze. The tower still intact at that point. And thankfully, I have to say, the tower still intact this morning. I went for a walk down there to see what was what. It's still smouldering. And that is it this morning, folks. Hotel Park this morning, the roof has collapsed. Testament to the good building techniques, I suppose, that the building is still standing. And it's looking a lot like the footage. Do you remember seeing the footage of that remarkable building? A similarly loved building in Caldas de Rainha, which I thought was a hospital. I'm not sure if it was or not, but it's that tall building overlooking the Dom Carlos Park in Caldas de Rainha had a similar thing happen. A mysterious fire, which has damaged the roof in quite a devastating manner over there in Caldas and now here in San Martinho de Porto. The turret you can see there in the daylight, you can see through the top window there. That was always like that. That hasn't been created by the fire yesterday. But yeah, the roof has fallen in. And as I walked down there this morning, the roof to the right-hand side of this picture was smouldering again. A bomberos popped down there, and I think they're going to come and douse it a bit more. But a sad situation. Fortunately, no one hurt. It's just an old building, but it's sad to see it in this state. And now it's, it has been. I was going to say someone set it on fire. I don't know that. I don't. I think that's what most people suspect. It wasn't a hot summer's day yesterday, and an old bottle by some quirk of solar focus sparked the timbers into flame. Who knows what actually happened? But sad to see it in flames last night. And that was a picture I took long ago. You can see a bluer sky of summer or spring there. And now this morning, comparing and contrasting, very cold and parky morning this morning, has to be said. And there you see it with the roof collapse. So there's your hotel update, the Hotel Park here in San Martinho de Porto. Who knows what's going to happen next? Very interesting looking at coverage over the years on YouTube and in the Portuguese press about that building. Who knows what will happen next? Who else is in this morning? We've got Baddy. Hola, bon dia. How are you doing over? Yeah, sorry to see the hotel burn down. You say, Baddy. How are you doing in Iceland? I don't think anyone was hurt. And, it is, let's face it, it's sad to see a beautiful old building getting burned down. But thank goodness, I don't think anyone was hurt. Bomberos safe and well. And nobody inside that building. It's not as if it was a working hotel, and there was no horror involved in having to evacuate the place. So no difficulties for human beings. I'm glad to say. What's this? Be careful saying GMP this morning, Carl. All right, I don't really understand that, Pete. Tulip trees are one of the magnolia family. The entire tree has blooms that are similar to the tulip flower. The other variety of magnolia has white flowers, which appear later in the season. Love a magnolia and love the tulip trees of Portugal as well. Matty in as well this morning. Good morning to you, Matty. Bom dia, alegria a todos de Quinta Ondragos. Consol, nice sunny day there. That'll be good for your solar array. Feliz segunda, Feliz segunda-feira a todos. Got there in the end. Thank you, Martin. Good morning to you. Bon dia from Pam. And Pam, we will make something of your conversation club. Thank you for joining us at GMP VIP and making that invitation over there as well. It's not as if we're not grappling and grasping with European Portuguese for lack of offers and kindness from people, including Pam. So I don't think we can make that an excuse. And thank you, Pam, again. Bon dia. I was going to say wham, bam. Thank you, Pam, for your contribution over there at GMP VIP. You know what I mean. Bon dia todos from Bob will be with us a little bit later on. And some man cave style shouting going on in the comments as well. Look at them go. Look at those cavemen go. And Paul Richards is in. What's the temperature like in the Algarve? Greetings from a warm and sunny Algarve. The Feel Good Factory is back in the Algarve. 20 degrees centigrade. Happy days. It's nice, isn't it? Isn't it great when the sun comes back? A nice, at times, sunny weekend. Oh, some funny shapes in the sky this morning. Yeah, we had a nice sunny weekend at times. And when it got colder on Saturday night, I had some friends round. And at the risk of connecting myself with the hotel fire, we had a little, what is it, a cheminée type thing, but a camping one, a little camping stove, which we burnt a few sticks in and sat around out in the cold air, but around a nice open fire in the Tunnel of Love, as it's affectionately known, in pretty much in the front garden of Carl Munson. More man cave shouting. Will you keep it down, you lot? Morning to you, Paul Richards. I'm glad to see it's getting warmer in the Algarve. And did you feel disturbance in the force with Doug and Frank meeting up down there in your neighborhood? There they are. Quite the combo, aren't they? Doug sporting a refined blazer and formal collared shirt look, and Frank there, baseball cap and kind of hoodie vibes going on there. They would cut a dash, wouldn't they, if they walked into any establishment near you? Hope you had a great time, lads. And looking forward to a video that I was told would be sent at some point. I got an outtake, about 5 seconds from Doug, but I imagine there'll be a 2-minute teaser involving Frank as well at some point. I have had plenty of magnolia trees in my life and never heard them called a tulip tree. It does make a lot of sense. Thanks for the education from Peter. And there's lots of people creating short videos for learning Portuguese on Instagram. Bite-sized learning Portuguese with Anita. Is that Anita Bush? And no, probably different Anitas. And Susana Pereira are favourites of mine. Nice one, Pam. Thanks for those names. And that would be him, Tim Spector, not related to Phil. And that Zoe project looks interesting. I've had some help from a herbalist and learned that I need to eat much less carbs. Pity carbs are so delicious. That's the thing about carbs, isn't it? Chips, rice, potatoes. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, they are among the hardest things. Less. Don't give yourself too much of a hard time. When I went into my serious weight loss project last year, I still had my tuna salad with chips, but just fewer chips. 20, I think. I started counting them. It can be done. And I don't think deprivation, diet, the word diet has got die in it. We have to be careful, don't we, when we're going through these processes. Thank you very much, Ralph, for your tulip magnolia. And good morning to you, Michael. Thank you so much as well for beginning a nice little flurry of support and subscription last week, GMP VIP. Thanks, Michael, for joining us as a GMP VIP. And let me know how you get on with the resources over there. It's aimed, as well as you helping us, supporting us with subscriptions as a GMP VIP, our aim is to help you too. So let me know what you find useful over there. And I'm going to be doing a bit of a reframe. We're going to be, we've got some plans for GMP VIP to make it even more useful for people, bringing the Portugal Club and GMP VIP and our private platform together. Basically, what do you think of this? Everything what you need to know and who you need to know for a great life in Portugal. What do you think about that for a strap line? What you need to know and who you need to know for a great life in Portugal. The problem with the Love Portugal concept is I think a lot of people think it's a dating site, possibly. It's possibly a little bit too effusive, Carl Munson, with your Love Portugal. Steady on. Could we start with being fond and liking Portugal before we get into full-blown loving of Portugal? So there you go. That's referring to my first comment this morning. Tulips, I believe. When it's spring again, I'll sing again. Tulips from Portugal. Good morning to you, James. I was singing to you, my friend, as you joined me backstage there. Andy Klein sounds great. I have to admit that Praxis were very disappointing when we went. Although I think the fellow behind Praxis, Gustavo, is the guy organising the big event in Coimbra at the weekend. Still, everything beats Belmont Craft Beer, doesn't it, Pete? Wow, that is a beautiful whatever that is. Oh yeah, the let me just have a look at that again then one more time with the tulip magnolia from the north. There you go. Believing it or telling us it's spring. Who are we to doubt a tulip magnolia And absolutely right, Pete. That is very beautiful. Antonio F is with us. Bon dia todos. How you doing, Antonio? Have you had a nice cup of tea or coffee out of that GMP mug yet? Be lovely to get a selfie of you sipping from the the Gumper cup. Who doesn't like to sip from a Gumper cup first thing in the morning? Bon dia, Pete, from Antonio F. Big T is also what he's done. Well, that's what Pete calls him anyway. Is it chilly over there? You haven't answered that question as far as I'm aware yet, Pete. Is it chilly over there in central Portugal? Oh, yeah. The frost is slowly steaming off the land. Pete having a steam first thing in the morning. Absolutely beautiful this morning. 17 degrees top temperature for Lisboa today. Isn't that nice to see? Fantastic. Still pretty chilly and cold at night. And it's at this time of the year when we can agree, can't we, that Portugal is the cold country with the hot sun. Starts cold in the night, and then when that sun comes out and you're sitting out in it, like warming your bones like a sensible cat or dog would do. It's like, whoa, the heat is amazing, even here in the wintertime. Bon dia, Owen, from Antonio and Matty. That would rule out an electrical fire then. Yeah, I don't think the electricity was connected in there. So I don't think an electrical fire. And not the first fire I heard from a passerby this morning. Apparently as well, there was a news crew or a news hound of some sort on the scene fairly early on. And a local man tried to stop the guy filming. And then other locals set about the man trying to stop the filming, saying, this is a public place. Why can't he film? But somebody was so protective, or they had some other motive for not wanting the thing to be filmed, that he was actually physically trying to stop somebody filming. By the time I got there, everybody was filming the whole thing. It was a very 2024 scene with everyone being in a situation whilst recording it. As well. I'm here, says Sarah. Glad nobody was hurt in the fires. As far as I'm aware, nobody was hurt in the fire there, just that building. Given how much rain we had in the last few weeks, it did seem to be pretty aggressively burning. I wonder if it was insured. Yes, interesting. Hold on a minute before jumping to conclusions. Yep, it's arson or an accident. Maybe someone homeless living there. That's a possibility, but it would be a very public place to live in secret. It's right opposite the police station as well. A mystery hotel fire. It's a Scooby-Doo mystery. Suspicions of insurance fraud, or am I being too cynical? You are being cynical. Whether or not you're being too cynical, I don't know. Big wave challenge at Nazaré today. Where you been, Sarah? We're all over that. There you go. There is the green alert countdown for what's going on in Nazaré. Right now, people converging on Portugal. Coming to surf those waves. I'm a bit busy. I don't think I'll be surfing today. Sorry, can't stay, says Matty. Need to get going. Thanks for popping in. Lots to do, as usual, on a farm. All right, you're a farmer. Some of us have other kinds of lives where we're not as busy as you, Matty. Have a great day. Everyone, a todos. Até a próxima. Cheers. Thanks for popping in. Big wave challenge on hold. What's that? As per World Surf League. Why is that on hold there, Owen? I don't believe in insurance fraud, as the hotel has been abandoned for decades, so there would not be any insurance, just my opinion. Yeah, but I guess burning, I guess some of these sites get burnt, don't they? Because people don't know what to do with them. And then when it's burnt to a crisp, you can't bring it back into a state of repair, and it has to be knocked down and something else has to be built there conveniently. Just a theory. I'm not saying that's what's going on here, but it sometimes happens around the world, doesn't it? That sort of thing. Off to Lagos in the Algarve on Wednesday. Thank you for updating us on your plans, João de Norte. We'll be only a week, but we'll enjoy the brief interlude. Would be glad to meet up if any other Gumpers are in the area. Nice one, João de Norte. In our growing community on WhatsApp, we do have a Portimao group, which you might want to join and see if anyone else is available. Pinky is in. Good morning to you. And Jess also in. Good morning to you, Jess. Paul Richards, thanks for your paella instructions. A great success. Now have a queue of people wanting to make a booking. Fantastic. Shay Richards or Shay Paulo. Very good. And to keep us updated, if you will. Lagos. Okay, satisfied, James. We'll do our Portuguese now, mate, because it's time to play your music and have a quick chat. Not 9 a.m. now 9:45. What's going on? Is it now 9:45 and no one's told me? Still looks like 1 minute past 9 to me, which means we're late to herald the arrival of the slug, who seems to be looking a little bit cross about that. Trouble is, James, I can't find a video for it. Bear with. Here he is. Hold on. After this, we'll be having a quick chat.
Olá, bom dia!
Olá, bom
Como
dia.
foi o teu fim de semana?
Muito fogo do Hotel Park aqui em São Martinho do Porto.
Sim, ok.
E você? Contigo? O que tem feito?
Uh,
We're doing good.
não muito.
Did you go to the market?
I don't know the word for relax, but very relaxed. Sim. Vou ao
Descansar, I think.
mercado.
Descansar. I do want you to have gone to the market, if only to just show my smutty slide here of you with a courgette and 2 tomatoes. But no, I take it.
Well, we did. Yeah, we do almost every weekend.
Excellent. I
We
thought
go
so.
to the mercado. I was able to make a few jokes mixing English and Portuguese with João, who is one of the vendors at the vegetable stand there. We've gotten to know
Cool.
each other over time because it's the same stand that Luisa and Sidonio go to every time we go to the market. And João has given me some grief, only meant lightheartedly, in being never talking. And he doesn't speak English very well, but he definitely speaks English better than I speak Portuguese.
Yes.
So he asked me if I'm angry or I'm sad or depressed. He jokingly, he's asked me these things because I'm just standing there not saying anything. So I'm smiling, I'm listening. I just don't have the words yet. So the point I'm trying to make is I was able to then do a few things by saying things I knew in Portuguese that were not even necessarily complete sentences. But there's a joke in the family here with Sidonio and Luisa, because he doesn't like green produce for some reason. Green offends him in terms of consuming it. So the joke is, anytime he says no thanks, I go, verde? Or,
Yes.
I make a comment that it's green. And of course, he's a Sporting fan whose color is green. And João is a Benfica fan whose color is red. So then I saw, well, it wasn't green, but a pepper that was red on one side and green on the other. So I pointed out to Sidonio, I said to Sidonio because it was a vegetable, I go, oh, verde, like, and I turned, oh, no, I mean, now I'm getting my colors, vermelho, and then I turned it around and I said, oh, now verde, and of course, João and Sidonio were both listening, so we were able to mix the jokes about green and not green and red, and anyway.
Muito bem. That's really good, James, because going back to how you've put this about how long it takes kids to learn a language, it will take, you're maybe at that stage, aren't you, where kids start to make jokes.
Yeah,
and that's
2-year-old humor.
Yeah, but it shows a command. It shows a command of a language, doesn't it? To be thinking about it in that way, that you can not only speak a little bit, but you can also make a joke. And I think that's great. So well done.
Yeah, and I think there's cultural understanding there too. The kind of humor that seems to go over versus the kind that doesn't, which is also, I think it's a little older than 2, usually around, I think 7, 6, 7, 8. We're trying to jokes and oftentimes go over the top.
Yeah.
And get the sort of look from the adult like, oh my, they go, oh, too much.
Oh my.
Back it up a little bit. We're getting a sense of that. So same thing culturally, but yeah, it's always fun to go there.
And I think also, my belief is that the Portuguese have quite a similar sense of humor to the British. The Portuguese like a pun and a wordplay, I've noticed. Now, I don't know if that's international, and I'm just making a special, unnecessarily creating a special bond there between the Brits and the Portuguese. But I think the Portuguese do like a bit of wordplay. For example, I've been adding restaurants. This is a bit difficult to see, but this is a restaurant menu in São Martinho de Porto, which is why I've put on my website here the funniest menu in SMDP. And they've got one of their...
Hey, that's how I hear the language right there.
How do you mean?
It's all fuzzy. I can't see it. I can't. So, like, what?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not sure if anyone can read this, but I can just about make it out. Oh, there's something called Duck You. on the
All
meme.
right. And we did
Um,
make a couple jokes around that pronunciation, Portuguese and English, or especially
yeah,
around I, where in English we do say I, but they don't say that in Portuguese. It's always E. So
that's
you
right.
say the
Yes.
word sheet, and you don't know if it's a Portuguese person what they're talking about the bed or something else. And uh, beach was another one. We talked
Yeah.
about.
Well, that son of a beach is one of the dishes here. So
Okay,
there's
well, yeah, the joke I make is in English. If you say sun on the beach, it could be very confusing to someone who doesn't speak English
yes,
fluently.
yeah. Well, it's all going on here in this menu because there's also hummus sapien.
Okay, hummus
There is
sapien, yeah.
Maria Bacalhau, which is a bacalhau dish, and then there is Zé Polvinho, which is octopus. The Zé Polvinho, which I think is hilarious personally,
I
because
don't
I like
get
that.
that one.
Well, that's Zé Polvinho is the character, the guy who
Okay, yeah.
he's Zé Polvinho, which actually me and Bobby O'Reilly, when we were in Caldash last Wednesday, we reenacted that. There's a bench in Caldash, not far from the Praça da Fruta, which I heard is under. Somebody was telling me it's not the place it once was. People aren't going there; they're going to the supermarket instead. And there's some doubt about the future of the Praça da Fruta. I certainly hope not. But anyway, a little way back from there, as you head into town, is a bronze sculpture, which is a bench. And it has Bordalo Pinheiro, the creator of Zé Polvinho. So it's him and his comic creation together. And it looks like you've got Pinheiro sat on the bench, who a lot of people think is Mark Twain. A lot of American tourists think, why is Mark Twain sat on the bench then? It's that look of a mustache and beard and some glasses, and he looks well dressed. And his comic creation, his everyman creation, who is like sticking it to the man and sticking it to his mates, and just is that everyman character that he created, is standing behind him. And Bobby and I were able to recreate that. I played the part of Pinheiro, and cheeky chappy Bobby O'Reilly played the part of Zé Polvinho. And here we have this not a recipe, a menu item, a dish here called Zé Polvinho. So there you go.
Amazing how we can connect things, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
It
With
just
no
seems to happen.
rehearsal, no research or rehearsal either.
There it all is. And of course, then I made the association with that particular sign to World War II. And I can't remember her name, but she was very, very popular on posters for women who were doing their part to, stay at home and build, work in the factories and things. And same sign with the handkerchief on her head. And
we can do this. It's the We Can Do This poster, isn't it?
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And it was a rare effort to acknowledge women's contribution to, in that case, the war effort, but in general, to life.
Yes.
Get overlooked a lot, these women. They say, but they're much more important than that.
Yeah. Well, yes. That's a good reference, and I think again another opportunity for a bit of Portuguese visual punnery, if not wordplay, and more of that from Pam. My favourite pun in Portuguese is caminhada. I've seen it a few times for organised dog walks. Now I'm not sure what that's based on, but I've got another one. It's not actually a pun. It's a misunderstanding that now we've got Antonio F. and we've got Pam here. They might be able to help us with this. So I'm just trying to find a picture that I took last night in the bath. Don't worry, everybody. It's not terribly revealing. In fact, it's a picture of I nearly said a champagne bottle. I haven't drunk champagne in the bath for a little while now. I haven't drunk shampoo in the bath either.
That would be ever for me on both counts.
It'll be whatever.
Ever.
Right. I have something to share with you from my bath last night, which is a worrying start to any sort of conversation, isn't it? Yeah. And I given how I spring things on people that then can't be unseen. Don't worry.
But we know you're not Pete, so okay.
It's funny you should say that. João Denort, Mr. and Mrs. Denort would like to meet Pete one day, but are asking already. Would certainly love to meet up one day, but you'd need to go easy on me and Mrs. Denort with your naughty, cheeky humor. That's before they've even set up a time to meet. Right. Pan 10 Nutri Pro V, James. And maybe we'll even talk about mindful migration. I don't know. But Pantene Pro V has risos definidos. I still haven't looked this up because I like the fact that caracóis perfeitos means that you end up with perfect snails. You're a hairdresser. What do you think caracóis perfect? Is that curls? Maybe snails, curls, caracóis?
I think it's in my vocabulary. One of the things that I review every day comes up, and I think it has to do with curly hair.
Okay, so the curly shell, and maybe that's what it means. A curly, almost a literal translation of a snail is a curly.
So for perfect for curly hair is, I think, what they're trying to.
Well, it didn't work for me. Just
promote that. Oh man, it made you. Oh, that's horrible.
How dare they draw me in like that?
Are you sure that's not for removing hair from the legs and stuff?
How very dare you? I put imac on my head instead. That's where I've been going wrong. Risos definidos. What's that? You nicely defined rice or laughs.
Oh, rice is a little. Come on.
Curly snails in your hair.
Risos. Maybe it's rinse. I don't know. This is how I guess the language when I don't know risos. What's the most familiar thing I could think of that it might have something to do with, since it's on a shampoo bottle or a hair product? Rinse, maybe.
Risos, that's coming in. We're gonna be told.
All right. Vocabulary works.
So el gosto, vossos caracóis, possibly. I love your curls is quite, and if you're in the chatting up business, that could be quite a good start. Or, I mean, that person might think you love their snails as well. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, and there's several, again, more connections. Mia Ejmerish, I believe the accent's on the final syllable in her name, as I've heard her say it. Ejmerish.
That's right, Ejmerish.
Ejmerish, as you said it earlier.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, she does many videos that show up on Facebook just to promote her language program, and the one she did was the difference between amor and adoro, and how it's used to say I love. And the understanding I got is you could also, what made me think of it was around curls. You could say adoro, meaning I love your curls, but it's not a romantic love. So there could be that too.
Okay.
There's so many ways to say this, more or less the same thing. It gets very confusing.
Yeah, and I think it's better to have a go than not have a go and see what trouble you can get yourself in. I mean, you could end up coming home with garlic butter on your hair, couldn't you? Those sort of things.
Yeah, people wondering why you think there's snails on their head, things like that.
Yeah,
possibly depending on pronunciation. See, that's the other thing. We
still don't know what risos is. We've got it's like a caminhada, a walk with your dog, so a caminhada. Okay, a dog walk. That's good.
Well, because it was a joke about puns, my mind, being what it does, immediately reminded me of a very Portuguese, well, not necessarily Portuguese, but something you see a lot is dog poop on the sidewalk all the time. So it's like, oh, a dog walk. Oh, it's watch your step. It's what I thought the joke was. But it's more straightforward. Just,
Funny you should mention that. And I was wondering whether to mention it or not. Is I did tread in some dog poo yesterday as I was filming. You'd have been proud of me, James. I was such a professional. I was doing a live stream of the fire, and I felt that squishy moment under my foot. Everyone just knows. It's like,
okay. I hope it's ice cream.
And then you look, it's so not ice cream, and it was a pretty fresh. And I mean, maybe people might be having their breakfast, but what could I do? I was filming a live stream, and I trodden in, and I thought, should I mention it on the live stream? No, it's not appropriate. It's not appropriate now. I get it, but I'm just letting you know into what goes on behind the scenes and what a pro I am. I just kept going and dealt with it later on.
It didn't fall. That was good too.
Didn't fall over.
Wow, that was
What's up with him?
That shit was slippery. Oops, wait. I'm filming.
Different
Edit.
Okay, suddenly he's got more viewers.
Yeah. Did you see this?
Hundreds of people laughing at that guy now. Right. Okay. So, Rizos, we still need that. We have, I think we've nailed this now. We've nailed the snail or curls. So, snails or curly hair. Apparently, they do put slime in some face creams, though.
Snail slime.
Imagine that as a job, being a snail milker. Pretty quite.
It's getting a little too close to the slug. I'm finding myself getting a little unnerved here for my friend.
Slug milker. Right. Okay. So mindful migration. Let's just do a complete 180 on this, or a 90. Okay. Yeah. Let's go off on a tangent here.
Well, 180 would be a turnaround look the other way.
So. Like me sliding on dog poo, basically. What have been your reflections? We've survived Blue Monday and possibly the extension of Blue Monday, which is the Semana Azul. How has your week been? What's been on your mind?
Well, a few things. One, there's always opportunities for pronunciation. And to me, it just supported my reasoning. You know, we all more or less rationalize our decisions based on, you know, that it's the good or right thing to do. That makes sense. But one of the commitments I've made, the rationalization, is I'll learn Portuguese more slowly, but I'm going to learn it correctly. So pronunciation is very important to me. So I notice those things. And part of that is I know that once you learn something, it's very difficult to then unlearn it and learn something new. So if you learn how to pronounce something.
Often. Yes. You notice that in me, don't you?
Yeah, and it happened today with Lagos.
Yeah.
I see you correcting it from time to time, but more consistently you say Lagos. Lagos. And it's Lagos. Even when you read it where I put Lagos, you said Lagos. I was like, oh, no. So, and I know that's just an old habit. I do the same thing with all the Jain words. For some reason, I got it in my head that the accent was on the Ain. So I'm saying Garajain. Parajain, Paradain. It's like, no, it's on that meets the rule. You love rules. It's the penultimate. So it's Garajain, Parajain. But still, I trip on it almost every time I see the word or I start to say it because I learned it wrong in the first place. There's my rationalization for learning more slowly, getting the pronunciation correct. So that was just one thing that came up today. I did want to let you know, I read an article. Last week we talked about Blue Monday being the first Monday in January. I read an article where they actually this Monday, today, the following week, is International Rosie Monday. And the article cited research that shows that the third Monday of every January brings statistically significant rise in people's moods.
Is that
and
right?
that research was conducted by the IRGA, which is the International Rose Growers Association.
Nice. Yeah. And what's coming next week, I wonder?
And you see how you can fool people by citing research and giving statistics, and it's like, oh wow.
Well, I was thinking about this morning. Morning.
By the way, I made all that up. That was just a joke for those who might not have gotten it. But
seriously, okay. I thought it was at least a real PR puff. It's entirely
no. It was me responding to this whole airline promotion thing, calling last Monday Blue Monday,
Rosie Monday. Very good.
Sell more tickets,
completely. No, the thing is, I mean, why do we expect the truth from news people in the first place? Like, why did we ever think that? And now, why are people like, we need fact checkers? We need, all of it is subjective, made up stuff at some level or other. And if we just saw it all as entertainment, we'd be a lot better off, wouldn't we?
Yeah, for me, it goes back to the same thing as Blue Monday. It's like if you're giving me information like it's the truth, then I discover that it was all made up. I'm not watching it as entertainment. I'm watching it as information, and you're trying to fool me.
Now, who's doing that though? Who is doing that in the world? Like, No, the TV companies never said they were delivering the truth, did they? Didn't we expect that? Like, sort of disappointed.
Well, but the news implied it. News implied it. I think historically, to say objective human is an oxymoron. There's no such thing. We all have our filters. Where it's not going to happen.
And editors, right? There's like one guy or girl, woman saying, "We'll run with this tonight." And that's their edited view of the world's news. Of all these billions of people, they chose 5 things to present. And just from that alone, you said it's not a complete or real picture.
That's one bias. So with news, I would hope that even if it's a subjective 5 things, the information about those 5 things would be accurate and relatively objective. But I believe, from my observation, I look at old television news, Walter Cronkite being one, standard in the United States. There was a sense of integrity with newscasters and news providers and with newspapers. And there's always been people who are just flat out lying, but there was a sense that there were at least certain individuals you could trust for honest information, as best as they knew it. And I think now it feels to me like a degrading of integrity in the presentation of information, which is what news used to be. And I think you're right. Now I don't even think it's entertainment. It's all about money. Follow the money. It's what will draw the larger audience for our advertisers, so we can charge our advertisers more for premium time.
Yeah,
it's and really what it boils down to.
Yeah, and I just think that would amount to a massive growing up for people, just to know that what was going on, which is this sea of information. And take which bits of it please you or entertain you, and have it at that level. It's like, I don't know, there's just almost like a massive letdown going on, isn't it? Like, I guess it's when kids discover that Santa Claus, well, kids, if you've got kids watching, and I'm going to talk about Santa Claus now in quite an objective and disturbing way. They've covering the ears of children. This news thing to me is like, well, Santa doesn't exist, and these people are delivering a subjective view of things. It's quite useful to remember that, and not to be thinking, you're sitting in a living room in black and white, watching the news in black and white, where everything that's coming out in this sort of, I'm mixing my metaphors, a rosy view in black and white, if you see what I mean. But that's an interesting bit of poetry, isn't it? The rosy black and white view of old, decades ago, where people trusted. Now, just because they trusted it didn't mean it was right.
Right.
It just meant they trusted it. And now we don't. And now we know a lot of it is subjective.
Well, and some people continue. I think part of your point is people continue to trust it with no evidence that they should. The time and again, it's like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. It's like, come on, I get it figured out. You're being lied to. Well, and for me, it goes back to choices of what I consider entertainment. I haven't framed it this way, but I haven't watched the news for decades. Because it's not something it's not entertainment I would choose to watch. It upsets me. The focus, even if it's accurate, if the focus is on what's horrible and wrong and terrible with world and people. And it's like, okay, I don't watch movies like that. I try to find things that are uplifting or funny or, just I can zone out and not give a crap, but
well done you. I mean, that strikes me as a very grown-up approach to what we're talking about. And they don't owe you anything, do they? That's the other thing. These companies are companies. It's like when people got upset for being cancelled off YouTube. If I get cancelled off YouTube, it's like a private company. I signed up to their terms and conditions. It's not a public service. And I don't think we're ever going to see a public service of that kind ever again. You are dealing with a company. They give me a product I can use, and in return, I sign up to their terms and conditions. And if they take me off there, I'd be upset, but I would accept that that's what had happened. It's a private company. It's not a right. It's not a human right for me to do this and have it streamed and demand that YouTube and those Google people, whose values I don't agree with as far as I understand them, but we have a business relationship with each other. They're using what we're doing now, James, you and me, to get rich. They're not getting that rich from you and me, to be fair, but it's all part of many a mickle makes a muckle, and that's how it works. And if they get rid of me, it will be because they can, and I need to get over that as soon as possible.
It's follow the money. They allow it because there's some benefit to them, which is exposure, and probably some. Well, the income is from the advertisers. So that's why the people who get lots of likes and subscribers make a little bit of money, because then they can start throwing ads on your stuff and making much more money than they're paying you. So it's
Correct.
profitable.
Yes.
And if they think you're a detriment to that, you're causing them to lose money, or you're not making them enough money to make it worth supporting you.
Yep.
Well, see ya.
Interesting comments coming in about this. I mean, and this is a good example, isn't it? Snails rather impressively have one of the longest penises in relation to size in the animal kingdom. You see, I'm not going to be fact checking that today.
Well, see, Slug
I've got other things to do, and yes, Slug is. I don't know. Maybe
he doesn't brag about that stuff. He's a very confident guy. He knows who he is.
Bob and Viv are here now, hearing us talking about snail penises. I mean, this is embarrassing in one sense, but it doesn't prove the point. It kind of brings perhaps more elucidation to this. It's like, that's a fact that's been, not a fact, a bit of information that's been shared by Pete. Like, take it or leave it. Barnacles have ones that's 8 times their body. It's like, it's just a bit of information, isn't it? Just a bit of information to have with your cornflakes. It's like,
an ant can lift 10 times their body weight. Yeah, all right. You go Barnacles. All right.
With their penis. Anyway, no, let's not go into that. If you send me Rose, global professionals in Portugal. I'm not sure who you are, but I think I know who you are. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you send me roses, I'll be happy. They went with your PR puff there, possibly. And interestingly for James, slugs.
All right, let's start a movement.
And
Rosy Monday. The fourth Monday, whatever Monday it is of January.
Mindful Monday is a thing now, just because we said so. But they can mate too. Look at that. You can be a hermaphrodite and have the choice to mate as well by releasing pheromones into their slime. Slugs indicate a readiness to. I've been out drinking with James. He definitely does do that. You can.
Don't let him hug you too long.
You can be subject. Okay. Still have news is vital. Once you stop believing all journalists, you let Putin win. I'm going to fact check that as well. If I stop believing all journalists, Putin's going to win. That is scary. There's a massive responsibility on me suddenly if I stop believing all journalists. But I get your point, global professionals.
Well, and the responsibility of trying to determine who's reliable and, who has the integrity to try to report the actual information. Yes.
Yeah, let's let it all go, and let's maybe let go of that idea, the rosy black and white world, and it's all just information. Get things that please you, perhaps. When I did my history degree, we were taught to be critical and think about how very old-fashioned, Pam, and think about the perspective of the historian and the time it was written.
That's how I taught history. Good on you, Pamela. That's exactly how I taught history. And then I got called in by the principal. It's like, well, we're in the 3rd week and you haven't gotten to the European settlement of the continent yet. I said, well, I had 10,000 years of native history, plus critical skills analysis of the material we were using. So it took a little more time than the standard curriculum. They didn't like that. They wanted me to be further along historically.
Then you got fired.
Well, I didn't get rehired. Let's just say that.
Get your news from not-for-profits. Yeah, it's all in the niche. They say the riches are in the niches. I don't think that's necessarily true. However, I think that's the direction of travel, Sarah. That is, people are getting their news from smaller outlets and people they trust. And if it's not news, it's entertainment or information. And you can have a different sort of relationship. And your motives and the agendas are a bit different, aren't they? Their audience is tiny, but they're reliable. Their audience is 8 times their own body weight. So I'm confusing my facts now. Late to the party, Bondia. I never watch news. I read 2 or 3 different sources. Very good. Don't watch legacy media or the TV now. Not even for a laugh. Squire of the Shires, Morning Squire. When I did my doctorate, I quickly realized that unless you're writing about Nazi Germany, not so. I don't really understand that. My father taught me at an early age, no matter what I heard or saw or read. Marvin Gaye taught me this in Heard It Through the Grapevine. To always be aware of the speaker, writer's bias or motivation. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the motivation seems to be, in a lot of ways, entertainment, because the people that polarize always claim it's just a role I'm playing. It's not who I am as a person. It's like, well, how do I not hate you as a person when all you do is spout hate and ugliness? It's like, oh, it's just my persona on the show. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I don't watch comedians that use their humor that way. So it's not who I am. I just make jokes about it. It's like, okay, I don't need to watch you then.
Yes. Cordelia, I thought it might be you, and I look forward to having an interesting chat. Let's lift this off the page on Wednesday when we meet up. Look forward to seeing you. Oh, yeah, anyone who's coming to join us at Storytellers Lunch on Wednesday, please let me know what you want to eat. I have sent the menu out. You need to make your choices because Marco prepares that food fresh and very lovingly. So I need to know what you want. So let me know, please, by WhatsApp in the appropriate group today. Antonio, have a great day. Let's give him a nice big round of applause because Bob and Viv are here.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Viv, ¿cómo estás? How are you?
Are we muted or are we not?
You're not muted.
We hear you.
Okay.
You're
loud and clear.
Yeah, with the elephant in the room as well.
Oh,
He
yeah.
is here. Yes.
Watch the watchful eye right there.
Perfecto.
Yeah. Is that? I'm going to steer well away from snails and slugs and elephants' trunks now, and let's just get a bit serious and sensible here now, shall we?
I wanted to talk about snail penises. Jeez.
Okay, you've got 30 seconds. I don't want to deprive you of that. I'm not a censor. I'm not cancelling you.
It's okay. It's okay. Next time.
But YouTube might.
we can move on. Right, I've got some lovely pictures of your recent travels. I called today's show Up Close and Personal because you've had all sorts going on, and James, obviously, on a Mindful Monday, shares from his personal thoughts. I think you've got one or two personal adventures and thoughts to share from this last week. What have you guys been up to?
Oh my goodness.
What haven't we been up to? Go ahead. I'll let Bob talk.
Well, we've what I sent Carl was our adventure trying to get our renewal done for our residencia, and you're only able to. And I just checked again this morning. So far, still, when they say you can renew online, what you can do is make your appointment online, and we are, I've got all the pictures to post the steps on our Facebook page. It'll be up there today. But it's a scramble to try to get an appointment. I couldn't believe, James, you got yours so fast. We spent a week, multiple times a day. I managed to snag an appointment early and let James know how I got it. And then, it took the next week trying to get an appointment for Viv. Couldn't do it. Finally got it. I told her, hey, it's Friday. And so we scrambled then and put all our paperwork together. The solicitor goes through some paperwork that we didn't know we needed to have. And we'll be posting info about that too. And so we made our plans. We're going to Braganza this past Friday to make our renewal. And I get up that morning and something didn't feel right in my gut. And so we're still scrambling and making our appointments and dropping the dog off. And then we go to the hospital emergency room because
can I just jump in there, Bob? Because you're not talking about your intuition, because that could have sounded like something just wasn't right in my gut. It's like I had a really odd feeling about Braganza. You're talking about literally a physical odd feeling in your
feeling in my gut that wasn't right. And
you had a lump the size of a golf ball sticking out. It's like, that's not right.
And it was pinched off and getting more painful by the minute. So yes, it was, and it's one of those deals where I knew enough to tell the ER when I finally got there. I had Deeple ready with the translation that this can be life-threatening. Please get me in here because I know that can go bad really quickly. And so anyway, I found out in the emergency room, if it's really urgent, they give you an orange band instead of a green band. And we got triaged.
Yellow band. They gave you an orange one instead of a yellow band.
Instead of yellow.
The green, you don't need to be there.
Anyway, so I got triaged quickly.
Special color.
Yeah. Fantastic. I was in pain. I'm sorry.
Yes,
fantastic triage nurse got their hernia reduced, and that, to make a long wait short, I mean, that was a short wait, and then I waited for x-rays and then didn't get a report for the doctor. So, but everything was good. We headed to Braganza, got there late at night, checked the time of our appointment.
Well, we checked the address. We just wanted
That's
to see,
it.
but I said, I can't go to sleep without checking this paperwork one more time. And let's see the address so we know how far it is. Little big print up at the top gives us the address. Right under it is Friday, January 26th. It was the 19th.
A week early.
Oh, okay.
We were a week early.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
So-
very well prepared, you might say.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're prepared.
You know, the really sad thing about it all in retrospect is we still didn't go to the address, so we still don't know where to
We
find
still
the
don't know
place.
where it is. You know?
But we had a wonderful weekend.
Well, then when I said it's next Friday, we just looked at each other and burst out laughing, and that's the way the rest of the weekend went. It's like, this is hilarious.
Recon.
Yeah.
It looks as well like you might be bumping into Bobby O'Reilly up there as well.
Yeah, that's great. What day though, Bobby? What day? We'll be there again on Friday.
On Friday.
Thursday afternoon.
Bobby, that's if they've got the date right. They say that now, but they might look again, and it might be
I promise.
Oh!
It's the 26th.
2025.
Oh, we'll be
well,
there. We're going up the day
yeah.
before. Yeah, so we'll be there.
All right.
Well,
Fair
we'll see
enough.
if we can
Yeah.
meet up. But yeah, it's an adventure getting an appointment.
Or wait, does that mean it's the next year? 2025?
No.
Yes.
It's going in January.
They're going to check again after the show, don't worry.
Yeah.
Got an excellent conversation going on about how our history, the perspective from which history is written. Very interesting. But Monday, 2 p.m. and Tuesday, 9 a.m. But double check that, Bobby. For sure. There's something, when it comes to Braganza. But I want to, we've got some lovely photos from your like a little photo safari from your weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a great weekend.
But more about this hotel. It was like a hotel stop by the sound of it. The hospital stop. You had the bulge. You had a golf ball sized bulge. You went in, and you were seen pretty quickly. You had a good experience with the Portuguese health system.
Very good.
Had a very, now I think part of it was because I knew to do the translate, because I knew it was urgent, because intestines can die rather quickly if they're pinched in a little
Golf ball size, yes.
You know, just because he was an EMT.
Years ago I trained EMT. So anyway.
What's that? Like a paramedic?
Emergency medical technician.
Step below paramedic,
EMT, emergency medical technician.
So I think going with a translation to hand them was definitely an advantage in this case, and got me seen much quicker than if I'd waited to finally get through the queue to have somebody look and say, So
that's what you might recommend. The translation in hand, so you can give them a bit of a heads up. And then you went into a triage system where it sounds like you don't want a red band put on your wrist. The yellow
red band may take you right back on a gurney.
Maybe, I don't know.
Right back to the
I don't know. I don't know. But I did have, I was the only orange one in the room, and I did get taken in quite quickly. And in fact, I think first once we got in the room.
Yeah, but you have to get past the triage person.
The desk,
And if you don't, she spoke some English, but if you have it all laid out in a letter, it's so much faster for her to read that and go, and then she types everything in and puts an orange band on you and away you go.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened. I was there a few weeks ago, and the same thing happened. I woke up, this side of my face was blown up, and don't know why, still don't know why, but it doesn't matter. It didn't hurt. And it all ended well. But we typed out what happened first in Portuguese and handed it to the triage, and it works beautifully.
It does help. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
it's orange, or it's a traffic light system, basically, Pete. I do love that.
Yes.
I think maybe. Yeah.
Yes.
If you have a red band, you're probably not conscious. Orange is pretty bad. So, but Bob was seen with his orange band. And may I ask about some of the details? And did they manipulate your bulge back into position, so to speak?
She did. She told me I had inguinal hernia surgery years ago, and this story actually ties to our move because I knew I strained something lifting those 24 tubs and standing on a scale because I didn't have a handy little scale. So in the process of creating everything up to move to Portugal, I knew I had strained something in my abdomen. It was no big deal. And so
he thought it was the old one coming loose a little. It's not. This is a whole new one.
This is a whole new femoral artery tear. Not in the artery.
Not in the artery. Keep it dead. Yeah.
So yeah, she was able. She said, "Now this is gonna hurt. You gotta relax." And
she was good though because she kept talking, and I could hear on the other side of the curtain, and she was, palpating it and saying, "Is it hurt over here? Is it hurt over here? Is it hurt over here?" And suddenly I hear Bob go, "Oh!"
Really?
Oh, she's good because she caught him all relaxed, so he couldn't tighten up, and just shoved it back in. And it was
amazing. That's amazing. And that's the moment you winced and let out a scream of pain is when it was pushed back in. Is that right?
Yes.
That's her story, and she's sticking to it. I don't remember yelling at all.
He did yell. He did.
About 10 minutes later, he came to.
No, I didn't pass out. But all good. Mindful focus, it's healing, it's doing fine. I just walked Gus 5 kilometers yesterday. After we got back, we did all the trip, all the steps, stairs, everything without an issue. I actually, I'll have a conversation with Coach Turner about it sometime. Well, I actually did a new stretch that I saw on YouTube, and that's what opened it up enough to
really. And that's why the coach says, isn't it? Take it gently, and if it hurts, stop. Yeah, absolutely.
The thing about the stretch, there are several phases to that stretch before you get to the advanced one. Do you think he did any of them? No.
Yes, I did. I did all of them. It was just that I went. No, I did each step, and they were so simple that I did the advanced one.
Okay.
Did it all in the first 5 minutes. He did every single step.
Yeah, without being too much of a gender stereotype here, I think it's probably like an IKEA instruction manual, isn't it? You look at the last page and you think, yeah, okay, well, I'll just quickly go through those first few pages.
Yes.
I made each move, and it was super simple. The last move was super simple. I just won't do it again.
Yeah. Unlike IKEA, there weren't any bits left over at the end.
No.
Well,
despite the direction, repeat. Yeah. That was easy.
Well,
medically, it may take surgery yet, but I'm focused on it. Coming all together and healing and being good. So we'll see. Doctor's appointment this week. Yeah.
That's amazing. So a great experience at the health service. And that woman went home that day, probably having performed a number of miracles of that kind. But how satisfying must that be to push someone's guts back inside their body like that?
Incredible.
It's a good idea Pamela, approving of the great idea here to write out your symptoms and translate to save time, misunderstanding in explanation.
Yes.
That's great. Well done, Bob. And thanks for that, Pam. Great idea to type up notes ahead of time in Portuguese if possible. Obrigada from Colleen. So thank you for sharing, because this is obviously very useful to other people.
Yeah, something we probably wouldn't think of. And in the case of an emergency, you're definitely not thinking, oh, that's right, I should write this down. So knowing in advance is very helpful.
Yeah.
Now, some people have got Glastonbury wristbands. Pam's got several from the hospital system, by the sound of it. There's a whole traffic light system on her wrist from past visits. I hope everything's okay with you now, Pam. And for you, Viv, so this came and went, did it? You went to hospital, you got a good reception, but it just...
yeah, they couldn't figure out why, and all the doctors look like they're 14, and he was very kind, but he said he couldn't get through to the hospital in Porto because they had changed the phone numbers and not given them to him. So
Yes.
he couldn't get a consult with a maxillofacial person. So he said, just take these steroids and the swelling will go down. If it comes back, come back and see me and we'll do something else. So it's been fine.
Interesting things at Casa Pathfinders then. Bulges of different kinds.
My face, his groin. Yeah.
I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah, awkward. Hopefully it's not because of contact or contagion there. Let's have a look. Oh no, I don't know why I chose that particular picture, but that's the order they're on.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Couldn't do a darn thing on that big bed. Lay on it.
Show us your bulge.
That's what it's there for.
Now this is not, just in case anyone's confused, this is not the reception you get in a Portuguese hospital. It would be nice, but this is not what's going to be happening.
No, that's the hotel.
And she's she's laughing because, oh, we don't have to be anywhere tomorrow. She just flops on the bed and gives me a gift.
We can relax.
Are you going to use this hotel again next week?
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
All right. And so where are we now? You had a little wander around the town, and Bragança's a nice place, is it?
It is.
It is.
It is. We enjoyed it.
Big city. It's a lot bigger than I thought.
Yeah. And one of the reasons for that last picture, by the way, is Viv has dealt with a lot of inflammation and weakness in her legs and all that kind of stuff. And she climbed up there to pose for that picture. It's in one of the portals that they would shoot arrows out of.
At the castle.
It's at the Castle of Bragança. Yeah. So
you almost were applying for a job as an archer there. So pleased were you?
Yes.
Yeah. It was cool that she's now able to do that walk with us. We walked several kilometers that day, and other than being tired, we made it all, and it's fantastic that she's doing so much better in that way.
I can also raise my right arm, as evidence in the photo.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to do that for a year or more. So
Both there. Now, this is interesting because this has been coming up. I did a webinar with Nuno on the Portuguese healthcare system last Thursday, and we've been having this conversation about how the body catches up after you've migrated to Portugal, and how, of course, you don't want to be ill when you get to your new dream home. However, we noticed that given the stress of the journey, sometimes when you breathe out and relax, the body does get its moment to say, actually, this might need dealing with, and this might need
a rest. I'm putting you down.
Yeah,
that's true.
Do you think there might be some truth in that, and it's something worth factoring in the first couple of years, how your body might just sort of say, okay, it's my turn now?
Absolutely, because you're so excited and so focused on the move and the trip and the excitement, and then you get here, and after about, I don't know, 6 months or so, it's like little things start to happen in your body, and or sometimes big things, but it just
and we are holistic beings. So in addition to physical fatigue, you've got shift in environment, you've got stress and anxiety around everything that you're trying to manage, you've got a change in your diet, and you've probably got exposure to other small microorganisms that don't normally bother people, but if you haven't been living here, now you're getting exposed to that, so you have to accommodate it. So all of that factors in. We're foreign organisms in an established place. So
exactly. This is why some people used to sometimes eat a little bit of soil in the new place, isn't it? To get that.
That's not a bad idea.
If I'd have thought of it, having come from agriculture and a lot of dirt, I had not heard that before. I would have done it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Doesn't it?
It does. Total sense. Just pick a spot that's not brown or yellow. But
good advice from the farmer there.
That's right. Choose carefully.
Well composted soil, yes. Thoroughly composted,
but not too clean. Not too clean, because then you do
not too clean, not sterilized.
Yeah. So there was, but this deal of mine was, I was told 25 years ago when I had my first hernia surgery that I had multiple thin spots in my lower abdomen. And so I just this didn't surprise me. I've actually been dealing with a little discomfort there for 2 years because, like I say, I knew in all the lifting that I'd done something, but I've also been working out, keeping my abs strong, keeping my weight down, walking, doing everything to be healthy I can be. And it was just that the movement of standing on one leg, bending over at the waist. So I'm standing on one leg, I bend over at the waist and kick the other leg straight out behind me. Well, that was what I mean, that's gonna, if there's a hole there, it's gonna open the hole.
But the bridge too far.
Bridge too far. But yeah, we didn't get COVID until after we got it.
Yeah, we didn't get American COVID.
Same.
That connects me with a major disappointment. That's reminded me over the weekend. Now, I don't know if anyone else had this experience. You know, you're having a look around on X and on YouTube, and I keep hearing this dizzy sex. And some people who I've been quite critical about in the past have been talking about dizzy sex, dizzy sex. I'm thinking to myself, dizzy sex, that sounds good. You know, got Klaus Schwab talking about it, got Bill Gates talking about it, the fella from the World Health Organization. And I'm thinking, I really didn't like these people before. Dizzy sex, though, that sounds all right. Maybe they're, you know, they've got a little bit of a better plan for us. It's not dizzy sex at all. It's flipping disease X.
Disease X, yes.
Yes. They've already got it identified in tests.
Really?
Put together so they can give everyone. So
I'm pretty sure I would prefer dizzy sex.
Exactly.
I'll take the dizzy sex.
It's not a coincidence that they've called it that, I think, just to get
as long as it's not a heart condition. It's like,
you pop a bulge out as a result. Anyway, let's just go back to Braganza now. So what are we looking at here?
Yeah, this is Castello de Braganza. Castello.
That's your main relic, if you like.
That's the main castle up on top of the hill. Yeah.
Okay, and the long view of the same.
That's from our hotel room, looking up toward there. The next morning when we got up, that's what we saw. So, and we had quite the wander. We just went all over town. We really did.
I think you guys are still giggling about why you're there at this point as well.
Yeah.
We giggle most of the time.
Sarah was saying, you know, Bob and Viv, give Bob and Viv lemons, they make lemonade. I can't remember what the character is on the right here. I can't remember the name.
What's the town?
The colorful one, it used to be the Devil Boy, but now they just run around making mischief. It starts, that festival starts February 9th through 16th and goes through Shrove Tuesday.
We featured those guys a couple of times.
The guy in the cave, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's Pedence. Pedence is the big center.
That's the village that actually holds it. But it takes over all of Braganza.
This whole region, these costumes were all around.
Very primal, very primal. They at the bottom apparently with a stick as they go past. That's a very beautiful scene there. But the terrace outside the castle again there, I think.
No, this is actually Vignes. If I'm pronouncing that right, Vinhais. It's between, we took the slow road from there to Chaves, and highly recommend N103.
Yes, it's a great road.
And
beautiful road.
Yeah.
All right, and we got a bit of video. Got 30 seconds of video. Let's play this as well.
Okay.
A beautiful mid-January day, bright sunshine. Just taking a little bit of a stroll past Castello de Braganza and my own special beauty.
The Cooey found.
Who's here with me. Whole story behind how we got here today that we will share at some point, but this is really nice.
Very nice indeed. So if you wouldn't mind, we've only got a few more minutes to go, but could you tell us the towns again? Obviously Braganza you went to, but what were the other towns you visited?
Vignes.
Or Vignes.
Vignes, I believe. AIS. Vignes.
Yeah, Vignes.
Right. And Chaves.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to any of the baths, check out any of the hot springs.
It was too late
in the day. But we had a great great wander in the old town at the old castle there. Took some pictures there. It was fun. We pulled into the parking lot, and one of our pictures is just three Portuguese folk in the distance sitting on a bench, just sitting there talking to each other, and it's just
so Portuguese.
Because it seems like in so many places in the U.S. anymore, the push is so strong that people don't just sit and be.
And if they do sit down, they don't talk and they don't look at you and they don't look at each other, and they're just reading their book or on their phone or something. And these three people were just having a ball, just sitting on a bench.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful.
And we see that here in Punta Lima all the time.
Well, I want to ask you about that. You're known for being in the north of Portugal. You've popularized the north of Portugal in many ways, and you're part of that sort of phenomenon of bringing the north of Portugal to greater awareness, notoriety around the world. Going further north, is there another, is it another level of northernness? Was it very different to what you've become used to in Ponte Lima?
Yeah.
There's less English.
Negative 2 degrees.
Yeah, and it's
cold.
It's cold.
It was
there.
Thick frost. So we've had very, very, very light frost here. The windshield was still frosted at 11 when we checked out of the hotel.
It was cold.
Frosted. The high that day was 9. We were very fortunate. The original forecast, when we looked at the wrong Friday, was going to be rainy, and it wasn't rainy and it wasn't windy. But we've got some folks that are coming here that are working with Vitor. They're going to be staying in February. They said, what can we bring? How do we need to dress? And our recommendation to anybody coming to visit or live in the winter is high-tech thermal underwear. Long johns are a great advantage.
And layers. You can strip off and add to. You need layers. But we wear our long johns in the house all the time, and it makes all the difference in the world. So it's not sexy, but it sure is warm.
I've got a pair of. You know what? I think some people do find long johns sexy, don't they? I don't know about the old grandpa one.
She must not like mine. I like hers. But anyway,
can I be a little bit indelicate and ask if you have the long johns like in you see in an old American movie, Granddad style, with a flap on the back?
No.
The old thermal cotton with the flap.
These are very thin, silky ones. So
they've come on a bit since those days. Right?
And always very baggy. Always very baggy.
No, not the high-tech ones.
Baggy.
No, that's what I'm talking about, the old ones.
Oh, the old ones. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they were cotton and wool and they stretched. And
Here we go.
Baggy and baggy.
A couple of funnies have come in. This isn't funny. This is Sandy wanted to get in touch. Morning to you, Sandy. Thanks for joining us. Can I talk with Viv about her inflammation and what she's had done, etc. here in Portugal? I have the same problem. I'm sure it's from Disease X. Would love to hear her comments. Can she PM me? Do you know each other already? I can probably facilitate that if there's a problem.
Okay, sure, if you'd like to.
Yeah, Sandy, if you could send me another message, and I'll make sure it gets to Viv, and we can get that sorted out.
Oh, absolutely. It's phenomenal.
Before we do the funnies that have come in, there is definitely a tea duck shaped hole, a tea duck vacuum this morning, but a couple of funnies have come in from Andy and Owen. Final words though from you this morning on Mindful Migration Monday, James.
It's actually a teaser for something I've been wanting to address for a while, but we always get so caught up in other things, which is fine. But I'll leave it as a teaser for potentially next week. Something that I thought about, and it's relevant to some of what Bob and Viv have talked about, is the realities of being here. It's something that I have coined as immigration fatigue.
Oh, very good.
Stay tuned for more.
And maybe not only stay tuned, but keep Carl less distracted next Monday, and we'll look into immigration. Thank you for that. Matt Wise, thanks for this as well. Point of order, Chairman from João de Norte. Bragança is due east of Ponte Lima rather than further north, but clearly way more inland, close to the border of central Spain. Yeah, they're not north, but would you agree it's like it feels more interior and deeper, Portugal?
Oh, it's deeper and it's more elevated. So, and elevation makes a big difference in temperature.
That's right. Yeah.
Local friend Oscar Oliveira, great guy, hikes a lot. He said, "Oh yeah, he feels like it's the coldest spot, one of the coldest spots, or perhaps the coldest city."
He said the coldest place in Portugal is
but
Bragança.
it's cold, and folks in Castelo Branco and some others might argue, but it was cold. But again, we had sunshine, so it wasn't.
Yeah, it makes a lovely difference, doesn't it, to feel that warm? Yeah, the cold country with the hot sun, that's Portugal.
Yes.
Portugal Pathfinders, last word from you. How's it all going? You're still showing people and sharing the dream of Portugal with people, and they can find you at Portugal Pathfinders?
Yes, they can. And the Facebook page, we're developing a group. We've got it named and everything. Right now, the Facebook page is Bob and Viv in Portugal. And that's where we're starting to post more things. Now that we have our paperwork and an appointment all set for
you can help people with that now, can't you?
Yeah. Do other things this week now.
Yeah, but last words would be keep it easy. You know, we were talking about it. She could have been ticked at me. I could have been ticked at myself. It could have ruined our whole weekend. And instead, it's like, wow, okay, I'm still upright and breathing. You know, I'm vertical.
He didn't have to have emergency surgery that day, so it was a win for me, no matter what happened.
Oh yeah, and we got here safely. It was our first couple nights. 3 nights without our good friend Gus. He went
to a doggy hotel.
Fantastic doggy hotel. We'll be posting about Joao's place on our page.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
But yeah, keep it light, because that would have been so easy to just been like this instantly. And I had this delightful lady that just burst out laughing. And so I'm like, I'm the one that didn't put it on the calendar. So it's like,
he said next Friday. I went for next Friday. He never told me a date.
And it didn't click with me because, we got to do all this stuff.
And he didn't put it in Google Calendars, which is highly unusual. Usually it all goes.
There you go. Keep it light, folks. What lovely advice. We've made it Rosy Monday in so many ways this morning. Great advice to finish with there.
And I think to James' point too, keeping it light, which we've done most of our journey, is a huge key to that migration stress issue. You know, it does keep it light. Yeah, keep it light.
The adventure continues.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Good life advice.
I look at framing it in, what is the universe offering me here in this moment, as opposed to, my horrible life. It's just a different frame to look through.
It is.
And it helps. And it helps.
Yeah.
It helps so much. Yeah. How is this for me?
Yeah.
Jackie, thank you both. Thank you, all of you, all 3 of you this morning for being here. Bon dia, morning, Carl. What's your email? Addie, sweetheart. Carl at goodmorningportugal.com. Funnily enough, if anyone wants to send me a message. Thanks for the live fire video last night. It was a sad one to make, but I'm glad people found it useful to be kept in touch with what was going on there. Okay, final funnies then. Dad joke warning. You have been warned. Owen's effort here. Why couldn't the toilet paper cross the road? Because it got stuck in a crack. Have a great day, everyone. That's disgusting. And
this is a compliment for dad jokes. The compliment.
Inspired by you and your journey and having your bulge perfectly handled by someone in a nurse's uniform. By Randy says, I had a girlfriend with a nurse's, a French maid's and policewoman's uniform. I decided if she can't hold down a job, she's not. Very good. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. And we'll see you tomorrow. All the best. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bom dia, Portugal. In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the member show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another